Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do a video that for some reason I've never done. So it's Amish in April, coming up soon, and I've never done a video giving Amish book recommendations. I've done World War II historical fiction recommendations at least 2 times already, and yet somehow I've never done Amish recommendations. I think it's because it's just been hard to kind of put all of my favorites together, especially because I've been reading them for a while. And we're talking 10-15 years, way before my time on BookTube. But yeah, so this readathon is hosted by Lizzie Faye Loves Books and Sarah from Reading Category Romance. It's from April 17th through April 26th. So I thought I'd kind of give you some recommendations. Their readathon's pretty easy. You have to, well, the prompts are read a romance and read a mystery. And I have plenty of that in here. Some of these you might have heard of, but I'm gonna mention those briefly. And some of them I've never heard anyone talk about. So yeah. These are just some of my favorites, probably all of my favorites that I could think of off the top of my head. So I didn't include like every Amish thing I've ever read, because some of it, frankly, sucked. So, I've been reading Amish fiction for a while, and I think it started when I saw, Saving Sarah Kane, which is the movie adaptation for The Redemption of Sarah Kane, and then I later read The Redemption of Sarah Kane. And it kind of went from there. So that one, that's in my recommendations list. It's the first Beverly Lewis book I read. And it's basically about Sarah Kane. Her sister passes away, and basically she's the next of kin to take care of her children. So she has to come and kind of figure out what to do with them after their parents die. She's not Amish anymore, so yeah, it's kind of a struggle. The movie is very different than the book, though, so yeah. In the movie, she brings the kids to her New York apartment, and it's a whole thing. Yeah. I'm a little disappointed at the differences between the book and the movie. I kind of wanted to see the kids in... Anyway. I'm rambling. But yeah, I remember that was one of the first books I ever read. So, yeah, kind of went from there. And let's just get into it. So, first I'm going to talk about I'm kind of going to go author by author. And then there's some miscellaneous ones at the end that aren't really by any one particular author. So, since we started with Beverly Lewis, I'll just go back to her. I've only read a couple of series by her. I read the Heritage of Lancaster County series. I actually saw part of the Lifetime movies for them. I don't remember how. I think I saw the end of movie 1 and some of movie 3, or the majority of movie 3. I want to watch them again because I never got to watch all of them. They were on Hallmark or Lifetime, I can't remember. But anyway, these books, it's a series of 3. The Shunning, The Confession, and The Reckoning of books. So this one is about Katie Lapp basically finds a family secret right before she's about to get married, if I'm not wrong. I can't really tell you what that is because that would spoil the book. Yeah, it's on the evening of her wedding to Bishop John. And she finds herself on a journey to figure out her family. And yeah, that's kind of how it goes. It's hard to really talk about these because they're a series, so. Then I recently, I think it was last year, I read the Annie's People series. I read it after Chloe from Always Booked read it. Hold on, I'm writing that down. Anyway, So we have The Preacher's Daughter. This one is about Annie Zook, the preacher's eldest daughter. It seems like it didn't. Basically, she's expected to join the Amish church, but at 20, she is still deciding. Because of strict rules that guide the plain community, she must continually squelch her artistic passion, although it has become her solace. And yeah, she can't be an artist. And she wants to be an artist. And it's kind of her journey to figure that out, essentially. And she has a thing with an Englisher. It's a good series. I enjoyed it. So those are 2 series, and I read a few standalones. I have The Heirloom. This is a prequel to the Heritage of Lancaster County series. It's a story of, after her widowed father remarries, 19-year-old Claire Bender is no longer needed to help run his household. Marriage seems like her best hope for moving out, but there are few men in her tiny Indiana Amish community. When she comes across letters from her mother's aunt Ella Mae Zook, she sets out to visit Lancaster County's Hickory Hollow to decide where her future lies. Ella Mae is not quite ready to move from the farmhouse where she and her recently deceased husband spent over 50 happy years, but her children are eager to resettle her, making Clara's visit seem like an answer to prayer. The 2 women form a warm bond while restoring an heirloom wedding quilt and sharing their lives, with Ella Mae confiding about a tragedy from her courting years. So it's we see a lot of Ella Mae in the Lancaster County series. So this kind of gives us her story. And yeah, that's basically it. And then we have the redemption of Sarah Kane. I'll read the description just because it's funny. Her future and the lives of her young siblings is in the hands of a fancy Englisher from Portland, Sarah Kane. Lydia Cottrell, eldest of 5 Amish orphans, made a promise to her dying mother to keep the family together. But soon she discovers that guardianship has been granted to a virtual stranger, a well-to-do aunt from Portland, Oregon, who cares little for Mama's last wish. Lydia's struggle to keep the promise may cost her the loss of the sweetest, kindest, and most handsome plain boy in all of Lancaster County, Levi King. A thoroughly modern young woman, Sarah Kane had ridiculed her sister's choice of a plain lifestyle, which served only to intensify the lifelong rift between them. Now, 12 years later, Sarah is stunned by news of her sister's death and baffled by Ivy's choice of a guardian. How can Sarah sacrifice her successful career and a life she enjoys to raise 5 Amish orphans? And what of Brian Ford, the man in her life? Upon her arrival in Lancaster County, Sarah holds a grief all her own, one very different from the suffering of her nieces and nephews. Can the sorrow that divides them ultimately unite the new family? Will Sarah discover that Lancaster County's Amish community is not only a simpler place, but also a healing place? So yeah, I enjoyed the book. It's one of my first Amish books. It was, like I said, pretty sure it was the first Amish book I ever read. Then we have the most recent Amish book I've read, The Christmas House by Beverly Lewis. With the holidays approaching, Liz Lance is dedicated to using her Hickory Hollow buggy tour business to share God's love with the Englisher tourists who visit her Lancaster County community. When her father and brother are called away for a while, Dot finds a young Amish man to assist her on the tours in her brother's place, much to Liz's dismay. Regardless, the popularity of her Christmas house buggy tour means she can use the help. So, as the countdown to Christmas begins, she works alongside Matthew Yoder, who quickly takes a genuine interest in the tour customers and Liz. As an Englisher family in Hickory Hollow expresses their festive spirit with a lavishly decorated house for the second year running, Liz's Amish community becomes increasingly concerned about attracting unwanted traffic and attention, and Liz wonders if there is any way to bridge the gap to help the new neighbors feel welcome. At the same time, she grapples with her growing feelings for Matt, whose position with her is only temporary. Can she find a way to bring harmony to Hickory Hollow in time for Christmas? So, yeah, there's that. Those are all the Beverly Lewis books I've read and enjoyed. Now we're going to go on to another author that I've never actually talked about, because this was an author that I read way back, like a decade ago. Marta Perry. I read 2 series by her. We have the Lost Sisters of Pleasant Valley series. It's a duology. We have Lydia's Hope. 3 Amish sisters separated when very young, know nothing about one another until a long-held secret is revealed. With no memory of her birth parents or the tragic accident that took their lives, Lydia Beachy has always been grateful for the aunt and uncle who took her in and raised her as their own. Now a married woman with 2 sons, Lydia finds her life turned upside down when she discovers that she has 2 younger sisters. Susanna was adopted by an Amish family in another community, and Chloe, who was raised by their grandmother among the English. So, yeah. You can kind of guess where it goes. The other book is called Susanna's Dream. So there's that. It's a duology. It was fun. Then we have the Pleasant Valley series. This one's it's like a bunch of interconnected romances. It's all about the people in the same community. It's better to read them in order. There's a lot of them. The first one is Leah's Choice. And it's hard to describe. You really have to read it in order, like I said, but they're all different romances. So in this one, Leah is a school teacher and she falls in love with the father of 3 of her students. He's a widower. Daniel Glick is his name. And yeah, each one is a different romance. It's part of that community. And there's one about a midwife. They go through different things. It's kind of cool. Sort of the different trials that everybody goes through. So we have Leah's Choice. Then Rachel's Garden, Anna's Return. Ooh, that one. Anna comes back with a baby in tow. Back to the Amish. Sarah's Gift. I think that one's about a midwife. Katie's Way. I can't remember. This was a long time ago. Hannah's Joy. Naomi's Christmas. So, yeah, there's that series. It's really good. I might reread it myself at some point. Then we have one of my favorite authors that I found about 4 or 5 years ago. Cindy Woodsmall. The first series I ever read by her was the Ada's House series. So the first one's called The Hope of Refuge. Raised in foster care and now the widowed mother of a little girl, Kara Moore struggles against poverty, fear, and a relentless stalker. When a trail of memories leads Kara and Lori out of New York City toward an Amish community, she follows every lead, eager for answers and a fresh start. She discovers that long-held secrets about her family history ripple beneath the surface of Dry Lake, Pennsylvania, and it's no place for an outsider. For one Amish man, Ephraim Mast, dares to fulfill the command he believes that he received from God. Be me to her, despite how it threatens his way of life. So basically there's the other storyline. Completely opposite of the hard, untrusting Kara, Ephraim's sister Deborah also finds her dreams crumbling when the man she has pledged to build a life with begins withdrawing from Deborah and his community, including his mother, Ada Stoltzfus. Can the rundown house that Ada envisions transforming unite them toward a common purpose, or push Malin away forever? So we have these 2 women, and, it's a thing. And there's other connecting stories to people in the community. The next one's called The Bridge of Peace and the Harvest of Grace, although I like The Hope of Refuge best. Kara and Lori's story is really good. And, yeah, it's really interesting how she kind of comes into the Amish community. What I like about this author is that she puts, like, real life, like, English issues into the Amish, and, like, you kind of see the flaws in the Amish system in a way, but you also see the good, so it's hard to, it makes you think, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. And then we have the Sisters of the Quilt series, When the Heart Cries. So this one is about Hannah. She was raised in an old order Amish family, but she likes a Mennonite named Paul Waddell. And she wants to be with him, but then something happens to her on the evening of their engagement, something very bad. Check your trigger warnings, but yeah. The next two in the series are When the Morning Comes and When the Soul Mends. And then we have the Amish of Summer Grove series, The Ties That Bind. We have Ariana's our main girl. Her comfortable or old order Amish world is about to unravel. All she wants to do is open a cafe in Summer Grove to help support her family and to keep others from being lured into the English life by Quill. Well, I can't pronounce his last name, but yeah, he led a girl named Frida into the Amish world and away from the Amish world, and she's mad at him for it. So it's kind of their enemies to lovers sort of romance. And he also finds out a secret about her that will upend her world. I'm not going to say what it is. You need to go along for the ride. So yeah. Then we have Fraying at the Edge and Gathering the Threads. So those are those books. Then we have this duology I just read, The Christmas Remedy. So this one's about an old order Amish woman that takes a job at a small town pharmacy to help her Amish community take their medicine, but she can only have it as long as she's not married. And of course she falls in love. The second one is A Christmas Haven. Then we have her standalones that I've read. The English Daughter. This one was really good. I love this one. So this is about a couple, Jemima, and she's got 4 kids. She's like this perfect Amish wife, and she finds out that her husband Roy has been hiding a child with another woman, an English woman. Yeah, scandal. Then we have The Angel of Forest Hill. This is a Christmas one. Marriage of Convenience. Joel loses his wife in childbirth, and 21-year-old Rose marries him to help out with the kids. And they eventually, will they fall in love? Will they not? Who knows? Then Yesterday's Gone. It's about Eliza Bontrager and Jesse Ebersol. They're determined to marry despite the belief that their Amish community and respective families, I guess they have like a family curse. So they don't want them to get married. The families don't want them to marry. And before the ceremony on the day of the wedding, Eliza's great Aunt Rose gives her a family heirloom quilt and tells her that she may use it to change one event in the past. And yeah, they start losing babies. And she realizes that her inability to have kids is genetic. And so she basically goes back and she wants to go back in time and reject her husband's proposal so he can have children. That one was a little weird, but it was good. Then we have another time travel one. This is my favorite one. Until Then. In 1985, Old Order Amish couple Celeste and Vin Latz have been married for 6 years. Vin is a carpenter by trade, but an artist in his heart. He is especially captivated by drawing portraits, which the Amish consider idolatry. Knowing they can be shunned, Celeste is shocked to discover that Vin has secretly been sketching her and their sons. When she confronts Vin, they argue and Vin storms out and seems to disappear, leaving Celeste to wonder if he chose his art over his family. When he leaves the house that night, Vin seeks peace on his favorite mountain overlook, but he takes a fall and awakes to find himself injured and lost. Vin soon realizes just how far he has traveled, not only a distance, but back in time to 1822 Ohio, a place that provides the freedom he craved, but where he is separated from his beloved wife and children. Vin is saved by the kindness of strangers and gradually learns to survive and even to use his skills to help his new friends in this unfamiliar time and place. But he wants to go home, obviously. That was a really good book. I love that one. It, he ends up with Quakers, so that's interesting. So that's everything that she wrote that I've read. That I've read and liked. There's another series that I DNF'd. Then we have Amy Clipston. I've read a couple series by her. I read the Amish Heirloom series, The Forgotten Recipe. It's about all these sisters and the things they find in their mother's hope chest. And her mom has this big secret about her hope chest. And yeah, each of the sisters has a romance. And then the last book, we hear about her romance, or her stories. So that was interesting. I think that was my favorite book, actually, the last book. But each of the sisters has a different story. So this one is The Forgotten Recipe. Then we have The Courtship Basket, The Cherished Quilt, and The Beloved Hope Chest. Then we have the Kaufman Amish Bakery series. The first one's A Gift of Grace. This one takes place in Birmingham, Pennsylvania. I can't speak. They're about different women in the Kaufman family. Or are they all in the Kaufman family? Probably not all, but in this first one we have Rebecca Kaufman's Old Order life is transformed when she suddenly has custody of her 2 teenage nieces after her English sister and brother-in-law are killed in an automobile accident. Infant motherhood after years of unsuccessfully attempting to conceive a child is a joy, and it's also hard because, these are teenage girls who grew up English. One of them likes her life there, and the other one hates it. So, and her husband is kind of a jerk at times, if I remember correctly. That was my only kind of complaint. But I enjoyed the series. And the stories kind of spin out to other family members as we go throughout the series. So then we have A Promise of Hope, A Place of Peace, A Life of Joy. And then we have the Kaufman Amish Bakery Christmas stories. A Plain and Simple Christmas and Naomi's Gift. So that's that author. Now we're going to go on to some mysteries. We have the Kate Burkholder series by Linda Castillo. This one is pretty gritty. I heard about this one first from Lindsay's Little Library, and then Sarah talked about it too. But Kate, her family's Amish, and she leaves the faith, but she comes back to be a police officer in her hometown, and so, you see her solving different cases. So it's kind of Amish adjacent. She works with the Amish and kind of knows them, but there's definitely swearing in the series. Lots of violence. I DNF'd it twice, and eventually I got into it. Now I've read all of them, but yeah, this is not sweet and wholesome whatsoever. So, especially the first ones. It's weird. I think she kind of toned it down a lot in the last few books. She was real violent and, like, dark in the first few books. She's still dark in later books, but not like... I think she just enjoyed being dark for a while. Linda Castillo. Anyway, so there's that series. Then we have the Amish Candy Shop Mysteries by Amanda Flower. The first one's called Assaulted Caramel. We have Bailey King is our main girl. She leaves New York to when her grandfather gets a heart attack to help out the family. And then there's a murder, and we go from there. But I love this series. It's cozy mysteries. It's really fun. And then we have the Amish Matchmaker mystery series. The first one's called Matchmaking Can Be Murder. This takes place in the same universe. I read them separately, but the characters overlap. So it'll be interesting to reread these in publication order. So you kind of see what happens, like, in order. But you don't really need to. I wasn't really confused. It's not like they... Well, no, not really. They don't pop up too much together. You know Bailey exists when you read the Amish Matchmaker series. But yeah, that one's about Millie Fisher. She moves back to her childhood hometown of Harvest, Ohio. And she's a matchmaker. And her very English friend Lois are the investigating team. And they're hilarious. And yeah. So yeah, there's that. Now we're going to talk about just miscellaneous books that aren't really by any one particular author or series. So we have Plain Truth by Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult is very, like, divisive. You either love her or you hate her. And you kind of go into her books. If you don't agree with a topic, you shouldn't read about that topic, because chances are she's going to try to change your mind one way, to her way of thinking. And if you don't want your mind changed, yeah, anyway. But this one isn't too divisive, I don't think. So, the small town of Paradise, Pennsylvania, is a jewel in Lancaster County known for its... Okay, why are we doing this? But that peace is shattered by the discovery of a dead infant in the barn of an Amish farmer. A police investigation quickly leads to two startling disclosures. The newborn's mother is an unmarried Amish woman, 18-year-old Katie Fisher, and the infant did not die of natural causes. Although Katie denies the medical proof that she gave birth to the child, circumstantial evidence leads to her arrest for the murder of her baby. 100 miles away, Philadelphia defense attorney Ellie Hathaway has achieved an enviable, high-profile career. Her latest court victory has set the sands shifting beneath her. Single at 39 and unsatisfied with her relationship, Ellie doesn't look back when she turns down her chance to make partner and takes off for an open-ended stay at her great-aunt's home in Paradise. Fate brings her to Katie Fisher. Suddenly, Ellie sees a chance to defend a client who truly needs her, not just one who can afford her. So, yeah. I don't really think that one's super, like, divisive like My Sister's Keeper. It's just kind of crime fiction. But it's good. I remember enjoying it. Then we have... Okay, I think... just one by this author. We have A Plain and Fancy Christmas by Cynthia Keller. I read this one last year at Christmas time. But you don't have to read this at Christmas time. Really, Christmas just comes at the end. But basically, raised in a Amish community, young mother Rachel Yoder has led a simple life within her close-knit family. Widowed 3 years ago, she has moved back in with her parents, attempting to raise her daughter Katie without further emotional upheaval. Meanwhile, 4 hours and a whole world away in New York City, Ellie Lawrence is laser-focused on a high-powered public relations career with too little time for her family, her friends, or even her boyfriend. Then one fateful day, these two very different women receive shocking news of a mistake made 3 decades earlier and long kept. Shortly after their births, the two were accidentally switched in the hospital. So, yeah, you can imagine how that goes. Like I said, there's really very little Christmas. So you can read that now or later. Then we have A Mother's Gift by Charlotte Hubbard. This one was good. I heard about it from Chloe. As a young girl, Leah Otto is captivated by Jude Shetler's good looks and talent as an auctioneer. So when Jude, now a widower with 3 children, begins to court her, Leah doesn't hesitate. And then she finds out that she has difficulty with his children. His daughters hate her, and the little boy is very much missing his mother. And then they find a baby, and yeah, it's a really good book. I enjoyed it. There was one thing that made me kind of mad, but I'm not going to say what it is because that'll spoil it. Then we have A Mother's Love by Charlotte Hubbard. Okay. For widow Rose Raber, it's been a year of tragic loss and difficult decisions. She thought providing for her young daughter was the greatest challenge she faced, until her dying mother revealed that Rose is adopted and her birth mother is someone with much to lose if the secret comes out. So yeah, an adoption sort of story. Then we have The Half-Stitch Amish Quilting Club by Wanda E. Brunstetter. I heard about this one from Lizzie. I loves books. Join the club of unlikely quilters who show up for Amish widow Emma Yoder's quilting class. A troubled young woman, a struggling couple, a widower, a rough and tough biker, and a preacher's wife make up the mismatched lot. So they bond over quilting. And yeah, there's 2 more in the series I'm going to read this month. I haven't read the other ones, but that one was really good. So yeah, those are all my favorite Amish book series or whatever. That was long. And yeah, I hope you find something you like. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.
Speech on. Stop recording.